welcome again to The Drop, where we're dropping truth and bringing life, and we are here again. I'm John Arana. This is Karina San Martin, our daughter.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And we're just excited to be doing this podcast with her. You have kind of like, older school with newer school. And I think we have a good blend
Newer
here.
school, I like that. Because I feel like I can't really say that I'm young anymore. Because I'm 2 years shy from 40.
Well, yeah, you're
So
middle age,
yeah,
basically.
so it's not like old school and young school. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe for some of the, early 20s, we're both old school.
No, don't tell me that.
No, maybe
it's probably true, though.
Maybe it's old school and ancient, vintage school.
No, I'm not old school yet. You're still old school. You are 100% still old school.
Oh, definitely.
I will be old school one. I'm sure I'm old school to my daughter, my 10-year-old
Oh,
daughter.
Oh, my gosh,
then
yeah.
I'm like, there's definitely things I do sometimes, and she's like, Mom. And
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
What? I'm cool?
Yeah. No. I tell you, I realize, I don't know why we're talking about this, but it's kind of funny. I remember when I realized I was getting old.
When was that?
Is when you and Tiffany talked to me one day and said, Dad, you can't keep wearing those pants. And I said, why not? Why not? I mean, I've always been a good dresser.
I'm pretty sure I know what pants those were, too. They were the big, baggy cargo pants with pockets and loops and everything all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, it was like safari time. We just needed the safari hat to go with it.
And I know you guys said, okay. And I said, well, I don't know. What should I wear? And then you guys said, we're going to go through your closet.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you guys pulled out a bunch of stuff,
so
man,
many
that I
favorites,
really liked.
The favorites, the go-tos, the shirts with the holes in them.
And then I realized, oh, man, that's a sign. That's a sign that I'm getting old.
Oh, man, I know I'm getting old because when I listen to, like current music sometimes, it's the mainstream stuff, not like the cool stuff, like the award shows and stuff. When I see, I'm like, what in the world is happening? I don't get this. I don't get it, and it's awful.
Right?
And I feel like, okay, I'm getting older because I'm not identifying with the current music.
Yeah. No, honestly, when I listen to the current music, I'm going like, doesn't even have a good harmony.
I'm like, where's the music?
The point is to be off key here.
Yeah, I'm like, where's the music? But anyways.
But anyhow.
Lots of signs of getting older, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful age.
It has its caviar because you have some experience.
Oh.
You're not
so
naive anymore, so it does have
I'm enjoying getting older.
It does have its benefits.
Yeah.
So but anyhow, so I don't know why you're talking about that, but it was
it's fine.
Good for somebody.
It's fine. And when you get older, you get to go on trips. Like you and Mom are about to go on an incredible trip.
Yes, we're about to go to Italy.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Now
Excited.
we went before for our 40th wedding anniversary.
Right.
But we were more in the middle north side part of it, and we had an amazing time.
Oh my
and we went with our best friends, Richard and Joanne Webster, but this time we're going back because we weren't able to get to Sicily.
Okay.
And Sicily is where Mom's family on her dad's side were from. Yeah.
Right.
And we discovered names and towns and everything. So we're going back over there, and then we're going to be in Naples and Rome. And
That's awesome.
I'm going to discover the last journey of the Apostle Paul in Rome, where he was jailed and so on and so forth. So it's going to be an awesome trip.
Take lots of pictures.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot out of it, and we're just going to have some fun.
I'm so excited for you guys. That's one of the caviars of getting older.
And not having any kids.
And having no kids and being able to go wherever.
Now you have the budget.
Isn't that the truth?
You have the budget.
That's such the truth. Speaking of kids, I wanted to give an update because I shared, I think it was in the last episode about Grace and bike riding.
What happened with that?
So I made this little schedule for her, to do like a healthy exercise and all of that because the other two are playing soccer, and so bike riding is one of them. So yesterday was our bike riding day.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't make a big deal of it. I was just like, let's go. Let's do it. I'm getting on my bike. And so she was like, okay, yeah. So her whole demeanor was very different than the first time.
Wow, okay.
She was like, it was almost like something just clicked. And she was like, of course, telling me all the things I would told her the first time. I'm like, Grace, you've ridden this bike before, you know?
Yeah,
and so she's telling me, I've ridden that bike before.
Oh,
I've ridden it before. And I'm like, yeah. So we go out there. She gets on her bike, and I'm like, okay, are you ready? Do you need my help? Do you need a boost? She's like, nope. I got it. And I'm like, okay, well,
different
go,
attitude. Different attitude.
So she gets on her bike, and she's kind of struggling to push the pedals down. And I'm like, you got it. Go. Just push it. And I'm giving you these little tips. And she starts. And so she's going. She gets going. And she's like, oh, this is fun.
She gets going.
This is fun. And it was so cool to see as a mom.
It was a complete change.
Like,
of attitude.
Wow. Like, she finally believed that she could just do this. She did it. And, you know, I was still coaching her with some little things. Yeah. But it is really rewarding to see that. And it just reminded me of, like, you know, and I literally thought, like, how proud God must feel when He sees us do those types of things in life. You know, like we were talking about. We were talking about last episode about Him being willing to be there for us. You know,
exactly.
And so I don't know. I just wanted to give that update.
You know, that's kind of cool because it shows how a father or a mother can have such an impact in the experience, and how that experience marks our kids' lives, you know, and so you were there for her, you encouraged her, you believed in her, and she was able to, you know, go above it, you know, and she then now has a great experience. Instead of like, oh, I remember when my mom was trying to teach me how to ride. I hated that.
Oh my gosh. Now it's fun, and we're not screaming bloody murder in the neighborhood for all the other parents to hear.
So that's awesome. So, that's the power of good parenting.
Yeah, sure.
Now, I taught you everything you know. So
you did teach me how to ride a bike. You did.
I did.
I remember it.
But anyhow, let's get to the subject.
Yeah, Jesus.
Another subject.
Another subject. Jesus forgives.
Yeah, we're talking about how Jesus turned things upside down. How Jesus oftentimes turned the traditions of religion and society. And He turned those traditions upside down.
Yeah, He did.
And because He came to show us a fresh way from the heart of God.
Yeah, right.
And so here's one of the stories. And
I love this
why don't you set up the story?
It's such an incredible story. Well, it's about the woman who was caught in adultery.
Yeah.
And I mean, you probably know more details about the story,
sure.
But you know, and we've probably a lot of us have heard it. But basically, there were it was the Pharisees, right?
Yeah,
Pharisees and scribes. That it actually says that they like caught her in the act, right?
Yeah.
And so they brought her.
Which kind of makes me wonder.
What were they doing?
How can they catch her in the act?
Yeah.
Unless they were
in the vicinity.
I think they were peeping toms.
I mean,
I think
it honestly
they were trying to check and see.
It honestly seems like they had nothing better to do than to
definitely they had nothing better to do. My goodness.
And so there were, and I think you can speak better to this. There were very clear like rules and laws and regulations set in place during that time of what was to happen to a woman, I guess, or a man, but a woman who was caught in the act of adultery.
And it's funny because, you know, the scribes were those people that kept the record of the law and everything, so they were very meticulous. And then the Pharisees were like the religious leaders, you know, and so these were not bad guys,
right? Yeah,
you know, they were good people. They were
like just doing their job. Basically,
they were like zealous for their traditions.
Yeah,
and so they caught this woman in adultery. And then the other interesting thing is that the law of Moses, which are the scribes, are like, this is the law.
Yeah,
the law of Moses demanded that the woman would be executed
by stoning, right?
By stoning.
Yeah.
That was the law of Moses. Intense. So imagine. But, however, this kind of gets a little interesting. Rome removed the capital jurisdiction from the Jewish people except for anything that happened in the temple. Okay? So even though there was a law of Moses that said that we could stone this woman,
sure,
the Jewish people did not have a right under the law of Romans to kill this woman. Okay. So now they ask this question to Jesus. And so if Jesus said yes, we can stone her, then he would have violated the Roman rule, the Roman law. And now the Roman soldiers had a right to imprison him and put him in jail. So they were trying to trap him with a religious tradition that had no legal support. Because if Jesus said yes, he would not necessarily be violating the law of Moses, but he would be violating the Roman rule
of the day.
And he'd get put in jail for that.
Yeah.
And so Jesus was so clever that he turned everything upside down on these guys. These guys thought, we got you, man.
Yeah, sure.
We got a hook on you. And he's like, And what Jesus did kind of shows us what the heart of God is.
Yeah.
What we should be doing to people that we realize or they confess to us that maybe they fell in some awful sin or terrible situation, and there's a rule that says, Christians don't do this or whatever.
Or tradition.
What are we supposed to do? And this is where Jesus is getting at. And so I think that Jesus says when they continue asking him, he raised himself up from the ground and said to them, "Who is without sin among you? Let him throw a stone at her."
Yeah.
And it's not here, but the text also says that the older ones let go of the rocks first.
See, it is good to get older because you know, I am one of the first ones here who is with sin. And I have no more pride left.
There's a good thing there. You're a little more self-aware.
No more pride left. That's funny.
So it's interesting because, she got found out.
Yeah.
She got caught.
Right.
She was guilty.
Yeah.
And they shamed her.
Yeah.
And this is what the religious people do.
It's so true.
Instead of loving you, instead of lifting you up, instead of picking you up, instead of restoring you, they just want to shame you.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you. And I thought you said you were a Christian. And they want to shame you. That is not the heart of God.
No.
See, Jesus turns things upside down. When people want to shame you, Jesus is going to lift you up.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus is going to raise your hope and raise your value.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to show you that you are a lot more than this one action.
That's so good.
That's
really good. And I love how incredible Jesus is in this moment and how really nothing else matters more than the person of the woman. He's not, and that he knows all the laws, he knows all the rules, he knows all the traditions, he knows all of it.
Yeah.
But he literally says, none of that is going to take priority.
That's right.
Even though in that day it should have.
Yeah.
None of it's going to take priority over this person.
Yeah.
Because this is a person who, maybe in your eyes her sin is worse than yours.
Right.
But sin... And I think also here he was kind of showing sin is sin.
Of course.
Doing wrong in this act is also
Sure.
doing wrong if you're stealing or you're
That's right.
cheating or
Exactly.
you're lying.
Yeah.
And I think that statement that he made set this really strong precedence in that time coming straight from him.
Right. And he turns it all upside down because he says, what matters is not the rule.
Right.
What matters is the spirit of the rule. And what he's saying is what's important here is that we should be accountable for our sin.
Yes. Yeah.
And you want to make this woman accountable for her sin, but you don't want to be accountable for your sin. And I think it's interesting because when you are living in a rule-based religion, in a rule-based religion, and there are many out there, and some people live a rule-based Christianity. There's some watchdogs out there. There's people that think that they have the calling from God to be watching out for everybody and keeping an eye on everybody and judging people and measuring people and but here's the thing. Why did Jesus turn everything upside down? Because he said there's a new revelation of the heart of God. Yeah. There's a new revelation of how God wants to deal with people, and he wants to deal with people through grace.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it also makes me I feel like every time I think of this story or read this story, it makes me see something different, and it makes me evaluate how I respond within myself and how I feel within myself when I know maybe I missed the mark, or like I didn't do what was right, or I should have done something better, and I think a lot of Christians, that you hit on something really good, that it is very easy to get stuck in this way of living that's based on like these rules and these regulations. And I think what all that produces is shame. When you break a rule, you feel shame.
Absolutely.
You want to hide, or even some people go to the other extreme when they're like, oh, I should be punished. And then anything bad that happens, they're like, the Lord is punishing me.
Okay, it's God's doing it.
Because I did something wrong.
Yeah.
And I think there is a need for accountability, and that's why there's so much importance in that relationship with God. Yeah. Because if you're in true relationship with Him, you'll process this different. Yeah,
absolutely.
But I think the rules and regulations, it just is the thing that produces shame.
Absolutely.
And not forgiveness, and not grace, and not love.
I think that Jesus is also showing us here. A couple of things that are part of the values of Oasis, of our community, and is to love the person even though the person has screwed up. Yeah. Also to honor the person, the individual that God has created as a human being, even though they've screwed up. Yeah. And to be authentic. Yeah. Listen, you if you don't have any sin, go ahead, throw the first stone. Yeah. You hypocrite. You're over here accusing this woman. Sure. But look at you. Yeah. It's that, again, the need for authenticity, the need to be real in how we view ourselves, but how we view other people. Yeah. With the same mercy, with the same honoring, with the same, love, And I think Jesus is saying, hey, there's a whole new way. There's a new way that's coming in that is going to be higher and better. Yes. And even the Apostle Paul says, hey, I'm going to show you a more excellent way. Sure. Love is more important than knowledge. Love is more important than miracles. And so I think Jesus is obviously the pioneer of this way. Yeah. So he's showing the way, but he's like, no one had ever done things like this. Yeah. So he looks like he's turning their whole world upside down. I can only imagine how big of a moment this was for everybody who was there. They're going what is this guy doing?
I mean, it was probably like shell shocked. You know? Like everyone was like, what is happening?
What's going on?
He's supposedly the Messiah. He should know the law. He should know what's supposed to happen here. And, that's right. And I think that just seeing in the midst of that and how he got all of that, but then the choices that he made very, very intentionally, very strategically, to show not only, I think it shows two really big things. It shows not only how he loves, but then he's also showing us like how he wants us to love others. Exactly. Because he says, he puts it on them almost. Yeah, and he says, hey, whoever is without sin.
That's right. Go ahead, do it.
Go ahead, I give you the freedom. Go ahead. But he, in other words, he's saying, you wouldn't want
this to happen to you.
If this was you.
This should happen to you.
If we found your sin. Yeah. This, you know what I'm saying? Right, and so I think it's cool that he also elevates how he wants us to be. Exactly. With others and all of that by the example.
It's that authenticity that we're after. at Oasis, and it's one of the things that the church in general has to get better at, because there's so many people that won't open up in church because they're so afraid to be judged and condemned and looked down on and be shamed. And I think that Christianity needs a fresher way, a way in which we can learn to be authentic, be self-aware, and treat others with the same respect and with the same honor. And I think that we treat people with honor not because they do all the right things. We treat them with honor because they are a created son and daughter of God. You know? 100%. And I think Jesus is saying, all your rules don't mean anything. If you're not willing to love and honor and be authentic.
Right. No, and I think that it is the way we want to be handled. You know, it is the way we want to be treated. That's how we want to be treated. And I think it is really good to evaluate, how we are to people around us that maybe fall short or don't get it right all the time. You know, and it's very easy, especially if it's an area that you're strong in, to pass strong judgment on somebody else, you know, but like you said, it's important to honor them as a person, because even though they mess up, it doesn't change that. They deserve to be loved and honored. And
I think one of the things that kind of, really blew them away also, and is that in verse 10 and 11, Jesus says, when Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, "Woman, where are those accusers of yours?" He has no one condemned you? And she says, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said to her, "Neither do I. Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." In a one-on-one with Jesus, the accusers are gone. And here's this woman standing now by herself in front of Jesus. And Jesus is saying, "I don't condemn you either." Which is interesting because Jesus had the right to condemn her because Jesus had no sin.
Right.
So he could have thrown that stone.
Ooh, that's so good.
He could have thrown that stone because he said, "Hey, he who has no sin, go ahead and throw it." In other words...
And he was literally the only one there.
He was literally...
with no sin.
He was the only one.
Man, I never thought about that. That's so good.
He could have thrown that stone and he could have said, "I'm sorry, this is the law, and I have no sin, so I have a right." But he says, "But neither do I."
Neither do I.
And what he's saying is the heart of God is so pure and so authentic that even though he has a right to do something, he's going to treat you with kindness and mercy and love. And he's going to honor you as a human being.
Give that grace and that forgiveness, which is like what we're talking about, that he extends that forgiveness to her. And, I don't know if this is like going to throw something for a whirlwind, but, it's interesting because she didn't ask for forgiveness.
She didn't.
And there wasn't this huge, don't get me wrong, I believe in the value of repentance.
Sure.
And we don't know all the deep places of what Jesus felt or saw in her and what she was feeling, could be very accurate that maybe she was feeling sorrow, a godly sorrow.
He saw her heart.
But I always found it very interesting that, he basically just gave her forgiveness. He forgave her. He set her free. He tells her, neither do I. And then he tells her now, go and sin no more.
That's right.
And I think that's where also that love comes in, that fatherly love. Because it's like, he's not like, okay, well, just go about your day. He's like, okay, now go and change what you are doing. So that you don't find yourself in this place again.
Exactly.
Because of the love.
Sure.
In other words, he's like, I'm forgiving you. I'm saving you from this moment.
Exactly.
So now you can be launched into something better.
That's right.
Now don't do it anymore.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that. And I think Jesus saw her heart.
Yeah.
And I also think that Jesus saw her suffering. I think Jesus also saw her agony of feeling the shame that, man, I got caught here, and I know what I'm doing is not right, but I'm doing it anyhow. Maybe because she needed to provide for her living that way, maybe for whatever reasons. But Jesus also saw, I like what you said, he saw her heart, her contrite heart, but I also think he saw her struggle, her pain, of saying, man, I can't continue to live like this. This is horrible, and I think that he says to her, I don't condemn you, but go and sin no more. In other words, don't keep living under this torment.
Right. Yeah. Go and now do it different.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I think that to me, this rocks my world in how I process sometimes, and how I know even some of my close friends process sometimes when they miss a mark. You know, it's very easy to feel bad about yourself, to feel shame, to feel like, now I have to almost not do penance, but I have to make up for this somehow.
Right.
I gotta go do something good, or go fix everything that I just ruined, or whatever it is. And it's Jesus doesn't even tell her, go back and fix it.
Right.
He just says, now go forward.
Right.
All you have to do is go forward.
Go forward with something new.
And do something different, do something new. And I love that, because he doesn't just leave her in that moment.
Yeah.
And he shows her, go to do something different.
Yeah, and basically Jesus is saying, you can't always follow the religious tradition, because it doesn't always bring the hand of God where God wants it to be.
Yeah,
true. And there are times that you have to turn certain traditions upside down. And I think Jesus turned this one upside down because he wanted to bring forgiveness, and he wanted to free this woman.
Yeah.
And he said, this is what the heart of God is about, and this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And the Pharisees were all upset. They're all, this guy is breaking the law and all this kind of stuff. So you will get criticized.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Even when you do the right thing.
Oh, sure.
But what's important is that you do what's in the heart of God. So anyhow, Jesus forgave her, and Jesus will forgive you no matter what your situation is, if you're willing to come to him.
Yeah.
Because he's forgiving. And no matter what he'll do, he will turn everything upside down in order to get to you, to your heart.
Very
so anyhow, here we are at the drop, dropping truth and bringing life. Thank you for being here with us one more time.
Yes.
And anything you want to say?
Come back again next week.
We want to see you, and we want you to see us. We love you. God bless you.